Just a quick sound check. Can everybody hear me okay? What's going on, everyone? We'll get started a little early, about 30 seconds early here. No problem. So these aren't the right stream segments. I didn't update them, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the channel and Engineer Man Knowledge Center and Discord, and of course the 100K video, which I know we're at like 120K now or 116, but I still have the 100K video to do. It's going to be a special. It's going to be something you've never seen before, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. Then I'll take some questions, and then we'll move on to the main thing. So first, not much on the EMKC front. EMKC is going good. Been making more challenges. I still got to get all the score stuff worked out, but people should be able to do the actual challenges now. Get credit for them on the site, and then increase your power there. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. I do want to officially launch EMKC here pretty soon, even though it's been out now for a couple months, and there's I think like 240, 250 people on EMKC now, which is really sweet. But I do want to launch it, of course, because I've never actually officially launched it. So as far as the 100K video, the special I'm doing for the 100K video is in the chat. You'll see a guy named Paul M. He's one of the fellows of my Discord and the Engineer Man team, and we're going to use his recent and relevant electrical engineering knowledge and my software engineering knowledge, and we're going to create a Engineer Man featuring Paul M, aka P-Dog, and we'll create a sweet video for that. So that's going to be the 100K special. I'm not sure exactly what the content is, but it's going to be something along the lines of taking something electrical engineering related and then implement it using software engineering skills, and then hopefully create a cool video out of that. So that's going to be the plan for that. Also, if you have any questions about the stream coming up or me in general, post them in the chat, and then they'll curate them and forward them to me. So that covers that. That covers 100K, EMKC. Discord is super healthy. We're approaching like 3,000 members, almost there, which is nuts. So also, Discord partner now, so getting some cool stuff with that. They finally sent me my hoodie, which is over there. So let's see some questions. So I've been seeing some chatter in the comments before we get started. So the stream content today it's all about getting a website online. So you've built this cool website, or maybe you've built this cool web app, or you've created a whatever you created, and it's on your local machine. It runs fine there, but how do you show everybody this cool site that you made? So I would show the hoodie, but it's too far away. It's way over there. Oh yeah, chair updates. Yes, so I'm still sitting in this awful chair. It's actually broken now. It's completely broken. It has no spring of any kind. I went to Staples. I sat in some chairs. I think I want to get the Herman Miller Aeron, but it's an $1,100 chair, and I'm not spending $1,100 on a chair until I actually sit in it, and I may not even get that one. So yeah, 100. Don't worry. The chair fund that people started, the $40 worth, not going to waste. for sure spending that on a chair. It's already earmarked. It's done. What was I saying? Oh, so for the website, yeah, if you've created something cool and it runs on your local machine, fine, but how are you going to show the world this cool thing you created? Well, you got to get a website, and that's what we're doing today. Really basic. We're going to get a domain. We're going to get a simple Linux VPS. We're going to spin that up, and then we're going to get the website online. If we have time, we'll also do the dynamic part of the website as well. So I've been seeing some chatter in the chat about GitHub pages, and GitHub pages is fine for static websites. I mean, if you just have a small page, like GitHub pages is great for things like documentation, especially because it looks in your Git repo for the stuff. So if that makes it easier for you, if you can deploy your site as a Git repo that's also kind of like a static website, then sure, just use GitHub pages. That's easy. And what I'm showing you today, the site I'll be putting online, which I'll actually show you now. So the site I'm putting online, I'm going to make myself smaller first. Yep, shrink mode. The site I'm putting online is the Chase is Awesome photo gallery, which is just a bunch of pictures of my dog. So this is the site that we're putting online today. So in this case, I could have used GitHub pages for this. It would have been perfectly fine, no big deal. But I want to also show you possibly the dynamic piece. And you cannot accomplish the dynamic piece with GitHub pages because you don't actually have access to the server itself, so you can't install things like Node or Python or Ruby or whatever. So all right, one more question, then let's jump in. Website. So for a website, should I use a service such as WordPress or Squarespace, or should I DIY it? So that, it's the usual programming answer. It depends. And everything is on a range of it's either hard to do and really, really customizable, or it's easy to do on the other end of the spectrum, and you only get whatever options they provide. So like WordPress, you're limited to the plugins, and any other work you got to do it within kind of the WordPress framework, and that's not always the best. Anybody that's worked in WordPress before knows that it's not ideal. So it's all, if you just want a quick blog, sure, just throw WordPress up there, and that's it. But if you want something super custom and you're going to build a big web application, then you're gonna want to DIY it. You want to do it yourself. How much experience in coding do you have? I have been coding since I was 9. I am 33 now, so 24 years. Let's see. Have you ever used Swift to make an iOS app? No, I don't do any Apple coding of any kind. Okay, good enough. So keep passing in the questions, and we'll look at that as we go here. So I want to start with getting the actual server, because you can get a server without a domain name. We're going to talk about domain, we're going to talk about DNS, we're going to talk about all that, but to start, we're just going to do a quick server. So there's a lot of services out there you can do. There's Google Cloud, there's Amazon AWS, there's Linode, there's Dotblock, there's DigitalOcean, there's all these different places. Today I'm using DigitalOcean. I host all my stuff on Google Cloud. I'm using DigitalOcean just because it's quicker. I just want to get I don't want to waste a lot of time on the actual infrastructure piece, because I'm starting from scratch. I haven't purchased any domain. I haven't created any server. I'm doing it all from scratch, and you're going to see that we can do it very quickly, even from scratch. So if you want to do it through DigitalOcean, create an account. You'll end up on this screen. And they call their VMs droplets, and this is nothing more than just a server in the cloud. You're going to get a server with a chunk of resources, carved off on a larger server, and then they're going to give you the ability to do whatever you want with it. So, create a droplet. So I'm creating a CentOS, CentOS box, which is a Linux box. Latest version 7.5 will be fine. I'll just take the cheapest one. And remember, you can get a server for $5 a month. It's not like It's not like you're paying $100 a month for this, and $5 a month is the $5 a month plan is plenty. You could have half that, and it would run the Chase Awesome photo gallery perfectly fine. So yeah, $5 a month. Click that. Continue down here. Nope, don't need backups. Block storage. Nope, don't need that. We'll put it in New York. I am putting an SSH key on here just so I can log in without a password, but if you use this and you don't have an SSH key, what they'll do is they'll mail you the root password, and then you can use that to log in. So I will create a host name. Host name can just be, I'll just call it my dog's name, Chase. And then create. So from here, it's just going to start creating. It doesn't take long. It takes, about 30 seconds, maybe. So it's just doing its thing. And so what this does is this gives us our server. This gives us a place to put the stuff that we need to put, in the cloud remotely. And this is the place where it's all going to be hosted. This would be called the host, as you'd know it, elsewhere. So for terminology, this is VPS, so virtual private server. There's also this concept of shared hosting. And shared hosting is nothing more than a VPS where they further carve out, resources. How much to get you to buy the $1,100 chair? I'm probably going to buy the $1,100 chair because I like nice things. And, well, I like nice things when it comes to things I have to sit in, things that I have to sleep in, and, things that make me feel better about, the stuff I got to do all day. So thank you for the 2. I appreciate that. I'm going to add that to the. I don't know if you gave me the 5 or the 20 before, but I'm going to add that to the chair fund. I'm getting it. So okay, cool, whatever. So we have this is the IP. So it's done now. The VPS is created. We have an IP now. My IP is 142.93.186.34. This is what I can use to connect to. Now notice it's not a domain. It's not anything. It's just an IP. An IP just uniquely identifies this server on the giant interwebs. So I'm going to copy this. Come to my terminal. Type SSH. If you're on Mac or Linux, then you'll have SSH, already. If you're on Windows, you'll want to download something like PuTTY. PuTTY is an SSH client. That'll work just fine. So SSH root @ paste the IP, hit enter. It's going to ask me to confirm the authenticity of the host. I'm going to say yes, and I'm in root @ Chase. So you now know. Because mine changed from root @ Vortex to root @ Chase, I now know that I'm on the remote server. So we're here. This is our brand new CentOS server. So to get something moving, you have to install. You got to install a couple things. First thing, and for CentOS, you're going to use a thing called a yum, which is a package manager. If you've ever used Mac, it's kind of like brew on Mac, and it's kind of like apt on Ubuntu, if you're a Ubuntu guy. So on CentOS, they use yum. So the first thing I need is EPL release. This gives me access to different packages on CentOS that aren't part of the normal package list. So I'm going to need that for Nginx. So we're installing Nginx. You got a couple of options for web servers. I'm installing just a really basic web server here, the thing that's going to actually serve the HTML page, for Chase's picture library. And you have a couple options for web servers. One is called Nginx, another is called Apache, and they basically do the same thing. They just go about how they do it differently. They're both still web servers. They can both still do reverse proxy. They can both still do caching. They both generally do. Nginx is just a web server. So a web server is just a thing that sits out there and it says, I'm going to listen on connections from, say, port 80. And then when somebody connects to me, I'm going to do something with that request. So if it'll make more sense here in a second. So I've installed Nginx. Now I need to configure Nginx. The configuration for Nginx is in /etc/Nginx. And the first thing we're wanting to do is we're going to open up that nginx.conf. think I'll install Nano first. And again, I use Nano for init, or you can use whatever. I'll try to talk through Nano as to how that works. So to open up that configuration file, you type nano nginx.conf, and you hit enter. So really what I want to do here is I just want to get rid of all of the stuff that doesn't matter. So blocks for web servers start as server and then a brace. So I want to just remove all this default stuff. They give me a default server and a default, like SSL enabled server. So I just want to just delete all that. Otherwise it's going to clash with what I'm trying to do. So trying to reduce this file down to a little less. So this is the important thing. It's going to include everything in the conf.d folder that ends in conf. So I'm going to create a new file called like chase.conf, and then it'll load that. So I'm going to cd to the conf.d folder. In here there's nothing. Nano chase.conf. So the simplest Nginx server configuration file that you can do is just 4 lines. Server, curly brace, ending curly brace. You're going to say listen on port 80, and then set the root as, whatever. I'm going to do var www. I'm actually going to do chase. So var www chase is going to be the root folder for my server. And then sorry, I should have made clear how to save it. So for Nano to save, you do Control X. It'll say save buffer. Yes. You hit Y. Then it'll ask you what file you want to write, and then it'll have the current file there. You just hit enter, and then it'll leave. So no problem. So to start Nginx, you gotta do 2 things. So CentOS uses a thing called Systemctl, which controls services that are running and stopped, and whether they start at boot, and what they do when they run. So you gotta do 2 things. Systemctl enable Nginx. Enter. What that does is that adds the Nginx service so it starts at boot. So, and that's important because if you didn't do that, if the server were to restart, you'd come back in and it would not be online. So second thing you got to do is systemctl start Nginx. Pretty simple, right? So I'm looking at the time, we're right at a half hour. There's another thing in CentOS called Ssl, and I was going to go through how to configure all the security policies and things like that, but I'm going to actually cheat and just not do that. So I'm just going to do set enforce 0, just so I don't have to deal with that. So at this point, I should be able to put a file in that folder. So remember, we did our root as /var/www/chase. So I got to create that folder, mkdir-p var www chase. Oops. So now I'm in that folder. I'm just going to put the word hello into index.html. And then I think because I created the folder after I started Nginx, I'll need to do systemctl restart Nginx. And all I really did there was create the root folder that I put in the config file, and I started a web server on it. So anytime I connect to port 80, it's going to read from that folder. So let's see if it works. If it works, we should be able to go to the browser. Should be able to go to the browser. Should be able to copy this IP. Should be able to paste that IP into here. And look at that. We get the word hello. So that's what we wanted. This is that's it. We got something online. Perfect. So anybody can actually access this now. I'll paste this into the chat. So if you click that, you'll be able to see the words hello. So this is the This is the very basic server. But this isn't cool. Who wants to go around saying, hey, you want to check out some sweet pictures of my dog? Yeah, man. How do I get them? Oh, well, it's easy. Just go to 142.93.186.34. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. So what we want to do now is get an actual domain. So enter Google Domains. So, and again, none of this is paid promotion, none of this is sponsorships, none of that. This is just the same stuff I use. So, to get a domain, go to Google Domains, google.com/domains, and then, choose a domain. And, yeah, that's fine. Access log blown up, that's fine. Yeah, in fact, as everybody is accessing it, there you go. Everybody who goes to that link, it'll show up in here. Well, actually, I probably shouldn't do that because I'm showing everybody's IPs. Never mind. That was a bad idea. Anyways, so I'm going to pick a domain. Of course, I'm putting up pictures of my dog, so I'll just search for something like, obviously if I search for chase.com, I really like chase.com, but, the bank owns that, so can't do it. So I'll instead pick something else. So maybe like chase the dog. Nope, somebody has chase the dog. And you'll find as you're looking for domains that people seem to have every single domain out there, and it's true. I mean, domains have been available now for probably 25 years at least. So yeah, it's running out. I already looked ahead of time to figure out the one I want, and the one I want is my dog chase, which is available. So I'm going to buy that right now. Go to cart. Protection on, auto renew. Sure. I want this domain forever. Check out. Whoops. Just doxed myself. Oh well, whatever. So I'll buy that now. So now I just wait for it to register, and it all happens quick. It's already done, so I think it's done. So once you're in Google Domains, you can open up the DNS tab. Now, the purpose of DNS is to, when somebody requests mydogchase.com, and then the next thing that happens is it goes and it asks the DNS server, and it says, hey, what IP do you have for mydogchase.com? And then the DNS server lets the computer know, yeah, I don't care about doxing. I'm a big boy. I'm not don't worry about that. So yeah, you type in mydogchase, and then the IP comes back, and then that's what your computer uses to actually go to the right site. So you got to tell it where to go. So in this case, you have these things called resource records, and there's a number of different types of records. The only one we care about today is going to be the A record. So well, actually, also the C name. So the A record is a simple record that says, take this domain and point it to whatever IP. So I'm going to go here, take my IP here. I'm going to paste that into there, and then the @ symbol just says the current domain. So the @ symbol is the same as typing, my dog chase. So I do that. The other thing I want to do is, this is fine for my dog chase, but if you want like www.mydogchase, which is typical, you would do www there. You would choose a CNAME, and for the domain name, you would type the actual domain name that you want to point it to. This is kind of like pointing a subdomain to a normal domain. You can also use it to point subdomains for your domain to a totally different space. Like, I think you could do that with GitHub pages. I think you can use a CNAME to point a custom domain over to GitHub pages. I could be wrong though. So that's all I need right now. So that shouldn't take that long to update. If it does, I'll just manually put the domain name in my etc host file, no big deal. So now that I have a domain, I got my A record set up, I got my CNAME, and all I got to do now is make a small change in the configuration file to just say what server it should listen on. So it's listening on port 80, but what it's doing right now is it's listening on all port 80. So it's not like sectioning it off by host. When you make a request to a domain, it passes that server name to your web server, and then that's how it determines, what actual thing it should do. Because if it didn't do that, you can only host exactly one site per server. That's not the case. You can host as many as you want. So the next thing I got to add here is server_name mydogchase.com. That's it. Save. Systemctl, restart Nginx. Give it a second to load. Oh, is it already working? Yeah, it's probably already working because it's just accepting all the requests. So now rather than going to 142.93.186.34, you can go to mydogchase.com. Yay, it's there. So that was easy, right? It only took us, 20 minutes to do all that, to create a VPS, to create a domain, and you see it propagate quick. People in the chat, they're already able to see it, so that's good. So the last thing is to actually move my files up there so we can see it, in the cloud. So to do that, I got to the other thing you can do now is, remember when I did SSH root at 142.93. whatever? Well, now you can do SSH root at mydogchase.com, because all it does is, we're going to get the secure HTTPS lock. We're going to do that in a second, don't worry. So now I can just do this, and it does the exact same thing, because that particular domain now resolved, and you could see that it shows the IP. It says mydogchase, and in parentheses it puts the IP of the actual, you do it right? Yeah, it puts the actual IP in there, so it's saying that domain name is that IP. So it's, for all intents and purposes, it's the same thing. So now I'm logged into my server. Actually, I got to log out again. So I've stored my files at a folder called Chase. So what I'll do is I'll use scp recursive chase, and I will send it to mydogchase.com var www chase. I don't know if that's going to overwrite it. There it goes. So now it's uploading all the images, and we're done. Now, if you didn't want to, the people in the chat, if the site's not working, it's just because it hasn't propagated to you yet. It does happen quick. Some services are slower. Some services take 48 hours, but the Google Domains is pretty fast, so it'll eventually get there. Now, I use SCP to copy my files. You could have also done a Git repo. If you wanted to do a Git repo, rather than copying your files like this, you could have just done a Git clone on your server. So that's up to you. How you get your files to the actual cloud server, that's totally up to you. Git repo is the easiest way, but this is just a site with pictures of my dog. So. So I'll just go here. I just want to make sure my files are, where they need to be. So I got a folder called Chase. I got another folder called Chase. Okay, so I just want to remove that and then just copy everything in Chase just down to here. Okay, so now in my var www chase folder, I got all the pictures and I got index.html. If you hit refresh, oh god, that's huge. Oh my goodness. Oh no, it's not working. Why not? Oh, because these don't have the right permissions. See how it's not read? Okay. So we'll set the right permission, 644 on img all. Yay. Okay, so now if you refresh the page, you should see all the pictures along with the title. So that's it. Our site is now online. That's everything I wanted to do. So we're 42 minutes. Now I want to introduce kind of, oh, we gotta do SSL cert. Forgot about that. So to do SSL, and somebody mentioned use Cloudflare, and fine, if you want to use Cloudflare, that's fine. I mean, we're not gonna go like buy $100. You know, we're not gonna go buy $100 cert or anything. We're gonna use Let's Encrypt, and we're gonna get this done in like 5 minutes. So it's not a big deal. So for Let's Encrypt, we need a couple things. We got, again, we're gonna use Yum. We have to install 2 things. We need to install certbot, which I hope it's in here. I might have to get a, oh good, it works. So we gotta install certbot. Certbot is Let's Encrypt's robot for, you know, or I guess there's script for, you know, handling all the SSL cert, you know, registrations. And what SSL is, yeah, what is SSL? So SSL right now, as you're looking at cute pictures of my dog, you are doing so insecurely. So as you do that, you know, people can snoop on you watching, you know, looking at pictures of my dog. So by using SSL, it makes all your communication encrypted. And I recommend that everybody use SSL always for every site. Always use HTTPS. Don't ever, you know, make it non-secure. No matter how trivial the site may be. So this is just pictures of my dog, but I'm still going to make it secure. So I got certbot. See, previous to Let's Encrypt, you used to have to buy the cert. You'd have to pay some company $50 a year or $100 a year or whatever it is, and it was just ridiculous. Now you get them for free. So there's no reason not to do it. It doesn't cost a dime. So I got certbot. The other thing I need is Python 2 Nginx plugin, I think. All right, that's not it. So I'll just have to check real quick. Hold on. Oh, I did that wrong. Python 2 certbot Nginx. Yeah, I don't know why I did Nginx plugin. Okay, so once you install those 2 things, getting a certificate is as easy as running certbot -- Nginx. If you're using Nginx, if you're using something else, then you would put the proper thing in there, and then cert only. Email address, em@engineerman.org. I agree. We'd be willing to share email, sure. Starting new HTTPS connection. Which names would you like to activate HTTPS for? And you can see that number 1 is my dog Chase, so I will do number 1. Obtaining a new cert, waiting for verification, cleaning up challenges, and we're done. So what it did here is, we're going to analyze what it did, because it did a lot of magic in the background, and I'll show you what that magic is. So 2 things happen here. The first thing is it created a okay, which one's what? So it created a certificate chain here at mydogchase.com/fullchain.pem, and then it created a private key at mydogchase.com/privekey.pem. The other thing it did is it updated, or at least it should have updated, the configuration file. Oh, but it didn't. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Hold on. Okay, so it just, okay, so I made a mistake. It just handles the actual, It just handles the actual, getting of the certificate. So we got to create a second server here. And the server is going to look a lot like the first server, except it's going to have one key difference. And instead of listening on 80, which is the default HTTP port, it's going to be listening on port 443, which is the default SSL port. The server name is going to be the same. The root's going to be the same. However, what we need to do now is we need to get some information about, we need to add some information about, the SSL cert. And I'm just going to take it from my, I'm just going to take it from Engineer Man Knowledge Center, so I don't have to rewrite it. Just give me one moment. All right. So just paste in some stuff here. So this does a couple things. It enables SSL, enables session cache. It sets the protocols. I could probably get rid of V1. This says use TLS V1 1.1 or 1.2, but use the best one according to whatever the things support. The downside of disabling some of those is you cut off systems that only support like TLS 1.1. So you want to support at least a couple backwards. And then here I'm just specifying which certificate and which certificate key. So since Let's Encrypt, they're all exactly the same, I'm just going to swap out emkc.org for mydogchase.com. And that's kind of it. So we'll save that. I will then restart Nginx, wherever that is. There we go. Okay, now with any luck, you should be able to go to HTTPS, and it works. So you can now go to https://mydogchase.com. So this is now the secure version. Nobody can snoop on you looking at cute pictures of Chase. The only thing you got to do now is you're going to want to redirect. You're going to want to redirect people to your domain if they try to access it insecurely. So at the moment, I can access it either insecurely or securely. So updating it is pretty simple. So if you have the first server, it listens on port 80. The second server listens on port 443. So rather than specifying a root for this server, I'm simply going to return. I don't actually remember how to do this. Hold on. Yeah, I do. Return 301 and then specify https mydogchase.com. And what that says is use the 301 status code, permanent redirect, and redirect it to mydogchase.com. So, Tamatu, Flask and a domain, you got to kind of separate it. So Nginx is the web server, which also does the SSL termination. So your Flask application can run unsecurely as long as your web server is connected to securely. So somebody connects to your web server securely. The web server makes an unsecured request to your Flask app. The Flask app returns the data. Nginx sends it back to the user securely. That's sort of the flow. And I say unsecurely, but it's not. When you're accessing something locally on your machine, it is secure because it's happening within your machine. So now that I have this, I can restart Nginx again. And you'll notice now, and you can go test it as soon as this restarts. If you go to mydogchase.com, you'll see that it now redirects to https://mydogchase.com. So now there's no way to view the unsecured version. You must view the secured version now. It is now mandatory. Okay, so a lot of people are asking how to host a Node site, Flask site, whatever, tons of different things. So let's just do that real quick. So I'm going to just install, hopefully Node.js is in the repo here. Okay, it is good. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a second server now, and I'm going to end up having to put a new port on my thing here. Well, actually, there is no firewall. It's totally open right now. So, okay, I don't need to do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the chase folder. Well, actually, I'll create a different folder. We'll call it node. And in that folder, I'm going to create a server.js. So I'll do acquire http p.create server request response. And then what we'll do is we'll listen on 8080 all hosts. And then here we'll do res.write hello smiley face res.end. So this will be our simple server. Now take note that I'm listening on 8080. I'm not listening on 80. If I listen on 80, I can access node directly. Well, actually, let's do that first. So yeah, so let me start that. So I'll start that server. So that's running now. So if I now go to mydogchase.com:8080, you can see that I get this hello. So you can check this out now. So the 8080 there is saying instead of connecting at... Oh, is everything frozen for you guys? My picture's frozen. Okay. Okay, so webcam's frozen. I don't know what's up with that. I'll have to... Well, I can't fix that. Oh well. So as long as everything else works. So what that's saying is send a request to mydogchase.com on port 8080. And Nginx is not part of this right now. Nginx is just... It's sitting there serving, Chase's pictures. But for server.js, yeah, I don't know what's up with my camera. That's annoying. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. Oh, I totally broke it now. Okay, yeah, it's dead. Okay, sorry everyone. Not gonna be able to fix that now. So this is just a direct connection. It's a direct connection now to the node server. Nginx has absolutely no part of this. It's not even part of the connection process. We're just connecting directly on 8080. So instead of connecting directly to the node server, let's run the node server on... Okay, here's what we'll do. We'll add a new subdomain called node. We'll need CNAME. Oh, you know what? We'll use www because that's already there. So we'll make mydogchase.com go to Chase's pictures, and we'll make www.mydogchase.com go to the node server. So I can add this by modifying this here. So all I'm doing now is I'm adding a new server. I'm saying this server should also listen on port 80. However, here's where it's different. So you can listen on port 80 for various things, but you must specify a different server name. So I'm going to do server name www.mydogchase.com. And then what this does should be a little different. I'm not specifying a root folder. What I want it to do is I want it to connect to my node server. So I need to use a location block. And this basically says that on any location, it starts with /, then proxy the request through to Node.js. And again, I'm going to do a little copy and paste here just to make it easy. So you don't need all of these. This is for real IP. Okay, we can get rid of those. Okay, so what we're looking at here is we're looking at a configuration that says take all requests that go to location / and proxy it through to 127.0.0.1 port 8080. So this is just like connecting to port 8080 directly, except Nginx is connecting to it for you. And this has one really huge benefit, and that benefit is if you have a website that's partially static and partially dynamic, you don't want you don't want Node.js rendering things like images and CSS and JavaScript. You only want Node to handle Node stuff, nothing else. So by doing it this way, you can catch all those static assets and just return them directly with Nginx instead of Node. So by doing this, I can now restart Nginx. Let me see if I can plug my camera back in. Hold on. Are we back? Can you hear me? Yeah, I think we're fine now. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. I don't know. I should have just left the camera off. I think we're good now. We're good now. We got audio. We got... Okay, so let me start over. So I went to www.mydogchase.com, and what that did for me was it made a request on port 80. It hit Nginx. Nginx said, okay, I see the host as www.mydogchase.com. So I'm going to look at the configuration file. Oh, I found one for www.mydogchase.com, and it says I should proxy that through to port 8080. So this is a way of accessing dynamic content. And you see I'm using all the same domain. You can set up any number of subdomains. You can set up any number of ports. You can set up any number of anything and just make Nginx be the front end for everything. And the good thing about that is that Nginx can terminate, SSL. It can handle the secure connection for you. So if I wanted to enable a secure connection on this, and this is to Tamatu's question, if I wanted to enable a secure connection, all I would do is I would change this to 443, and then I would just copy all this down to this one. Now I'm not sure if it's going to work, because when I did the SSL cert, it might not have registered www. But if that's not the case, what we can do is we can just get another cert. So I might get an error here, I might not, we'll see. Yeah, so it just redirected to there. Hey, Gabe Meister, thanks for the 10. Really appreciate that. Yeah, the certificate's probably wrong. I should have done both the domain and subdomain ahead of time, but I didn't. But that's okay. Yep. Okay, so we're at an hour and 3. That's it for the stream. Just any last minute questions? We'll do like 5-minute Q&A. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. So I want to make sure I get like 5 or 10 minutes of Q&A in here, since I had to mess with the audio and the picture so much. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Christoph. Thanks for bringing that up. So Let's Encrypt will give you a 3-month certificate. Let's Encrypt will also do wildcard certificates now. However, you can't do it this easy, because the way wildcard certificates get verified is different than the way non-wildcard certificates get verified. So what you'll end up having to do is put a text record on your DNS server, for the domain you want to get registered according to what Let's Encrypt gives you, and then it'll verify it like that. So it's a little more intensive. They do have certain registrars that support, I guess, automated wildcard, cert generation. However, Google Domains is not one of those things. What is your opinion on HTTP code 418 and the HTTP 700? I have no idea what that even is. What is 418? 418 is I'm a oh, I forgot about that. It's the I'm a teapot one. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, that's an April Fool's joke. I totally forgot about that. That's really great. Yeah, I like anything that's funny. So, yeah, I like the HTTP, over pigeon carrier, RFC. I'm the teapot. That's all good stuff. Domain equals server. No, domain does not equal server. And the best example of that is when you go to Facebook.com, you get more than one server. You get a ton of servers. So. Oh, sorry, we're at an hour and 5 minutes, but I started 15 minutes early, so we're actually, yeah, we still have 8 minutes. It's only 12:52. Should you have your front and back end separated? It depends on the size of your site. So as you increase load, you have to start getting creative with how you render things to a user, in a very expeditious manner. You don't want them waiting on your site, of course. So I think I hate giving the it depends answer, but in this case, I think it does depend on your load and your configuration on whether or not you'd want to separate those two. Let's see. What about OpenSSL? Okay, so OpenSSL is the actual cryptographic library that is on the server that's kind of doing all the SSL stuff. So OpenSSL is not the only one out there. There are a couple, but OpenSSL is the one that you'd find on Linux. So yeah, and it's not even SSL anymore. Like it's TLS. SSL is considered old technology, but people still call it SSL because nobody's going to call it a TLS cert. Okay, this is a good question. Nginx versus Apache. I did mention that Nginx is my preference. I used to be an Apache guy, now I'm an Nginx guy. I think what I really like about Nginx is the configuration syntax, because I think it's easier to write, I think it's easier to understand, and I like things generally that are more readable. And that's true in my code, that's true in the software I use. So they do have a couple fundamental differences. One primary one is that Nginx is based on an event type architecture, whereas Apache's not. Apache's based on a worker architecture. And sometimes you see that difference very glaringly. People often make the mistake of, to play devil's advocate here, people often make the mistake of doing benchmarks on Nginx versus Apache, and they do it in such a way where Nginx is always going to win, and then these people proclaim that, oh, Nginx is superior in every way. Oh, it executes this faster. Usually, Apache is tightly tied to PHP because, a lot of people use Apache with PHP. So a lot of people will say, oh, well, my Nginx, I get like 10,000 requests a second, and your PHP app only gets 1,000. And I always thought to myself, well, you're not comparing the right thing. I mean, you need to be comparing mod PHP to PHP FPM if you want to compare the two, and then you'll find that they're roughly the same. I do think Nginx does, well, I don't think, the data supports that Nginx is a little bit faster and a little better, but you know what? If you already know Apache, then use that. It's totally fine. What distro am I running? I run CentOS in the cloud, and I run Xubuntu on the desktop. Can you suggest a CMS for the server? No, I don't really use CMSs, so I don't know. Have you ever used Vultr? I've not. Looking for an affordable, high-performance cloud provider for my clients. They mainly are e-commerce. Yeah, so I'm going to take that question. I'm going to answer it differently. I'm going to answer it kind of more broadly. So when speaking about cloud hosting, you're looking for a couple of things. You're looking for price, and you're looking for ecosystem. I always look for ecosystem, and that's why I like Google. Is Google has a massive ecosystem, and as does AWS. Like Google and AWS, they're in the same kind of arena. Like I wouldn't compare DigitalOcean to Google Cloud. They're in a different kind of league. So what I look for is I look for price, and I look for ecosystem. Like Google Cloud, they got managed SQL, they got BigQuery, they got cloud storage, they got floating IPs, they got huge amounts of networking facilities, they got load balancing, they got instance templates. Like Google Cloud is good enough to where if you work for a big business that has 10,000 servers, you could do massive deployments on Google Cloud with no problem at all. If you were to attempt the same on DigitalOcean, not so much. That wouldn't work out well. And AWS does the same thing as well. However, AWS, I don't care for the UI. I think they got a lot of work to do in the UI department. And I just prefer Google Cloud for that. I don't want to manage everything from the command line. In that case, I want to go and I want to say I want a VM here. I want to use that template. I want to load that. I don't want to do all that from the command line. So I just want a nice UI to do that with. And they give me that, so I like them. Have I ever used Azure? No, I don't do any Microsoft anything. I don't use Windows. I don't use Azure. I don't use any of that. Please promote OpenSSH or MOBA Xterm. Yeah, so I don't really, I don't use Windows. The last time I used Windows, or I should say the last time I was forced to use Windows, I used PuTTY. I'm sure it's better options, so I would do what Christoph said there. Okay, what else we got here? How to investigate man in the middle. What do you look for? So man in the middle, I don't know what that question's asking. If it's pretty easy to tell if you're browsing to know if you're getting attacked by man in the middle. And that's if you're on a secure site. If you're on a secure site and you look at, like, you could see the cert. Let me pull this over. So on my dog chase, you could see the cert information, plain as day here, view certificate. Unfortunately, I can't blow this up at all, but I can see that the common name is Let's Encrypt Authority, organization's Let's Encrypt, and I got the dates, I got the fingerprint, I got all the info here. So if you're getting man in the middle attacked, you would not see Let's Encrypt here, and that's because what a man in the middle of attack is you make a request to mydogchase.com. The man in the middle decrypts that request, and then he re-encrypts it with a forged cert, sends the data on, and then the reverse occurs. So that lets that person read the traffic of an HTTPS request. The problem there is he can't do so without you seeing an error in here. The only way he could make that happen is if he were to be able to get his root cert onto your computer and then use that as a way to make it seem secure. If he were to do that, this would not say Let's Encrypt, it would say some other certificate authority, and then everything would look normal to the user. There is one group of people who do this all the time, and that's your employer. Your employer will make you use employer computers, and on those employer computers, they'll put their own root cert, and then when you make SSL connections to wherever, they'll decrypt that traffic, and they can do that because the root cert's on your computer already, and then that's how they snoop. So, that's how a man in the middle is accomplished with SSL. Should you host databases within the web server if excuse me, if the server is small enough? I sometimes do, but as soon as it grows or it's any kind of meaningful thing, I like to separate my database to a separate server, and then I like to lock that server down really, really, really tight. Anthony, what's going on, man? I'm doing very well, thank you. Crash course on Postgres? Probably not. I don't know Postgres. Antonio, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Let's see. I'm just scrolling for questions. This where you're running, redirect regional bases. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. So I love all the lines of questioning, and I'd love to talk about this more. So here's my usual stream plug. Go to our Discord server. You got to check it out. You can get there by either engineerman.org/discord, or now that I'm a Discord partner, discord.gg/engineerman. Either one's fine. And if you want to talk about this more, I love this kind of topic. I love the networking piece. I love the server side. And we didn't really do any programming here. All we did was just a little configuration. We bought a domain, and we got our site online. And it wasn't too painful, right? I mean, until we started dealing with SSL and we made the dynamic piece, we did the whole thing in 20 minutes, no big deal. So, yeah, come check out the Discord server. Come say hi to us. I'm always in there. If you ask anybody who's there any given period of time. They know that I interact with people all the time, and I love chatting with you guys. So come see me. And yeah, I'm glad everybody got a lot out of this. You can actually go into Discord and tag PDog at PDog and say thank you at PDog, because this was actually his suggestion. Last stream, every stream after we have a team chat about the stream, and when we did that, I was talking about some domain stuff, and he said, I have no clue what you're even talking about. I don't even know. This is all new to me, DNS and you know how all these pieces fit together. And I was like, you know what? I bet other people also have that question. So you can thank him for this. So go to Discord and at PDog, thank you. Okay, that's it. Good stream. I'm glad. Thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate that. Thanks for the addition to the chair fund. And I think the two people that donated, I think you've donated before, so you already got the role. If you don't, make sure you contact the fellows.